like your OS updated or what?
No, it not well, I think so, but it does it honestly every time that I turn on the computer, or like I turn on the computer every third or second time I turn it on. It says like, "Hey, this is restarting in 15 minutes." And there's no button that says don't restart. There's no like how about not do that? And it's just like, okay, cool. So anyway, we're gonna do it. And then so if you don't restart it, then whatever you're doing at the time that the clock runs out, it'll just restart immediately. So I was not looking forward to the prospect of us in the middle of a conversation and the computer just like shutting off.
No, I get
And
that.
it updates something, presumably,
Probably every time I
probably.
open Microsoft Word, it tells me that I have a critical update, and it's like for the last 10 years, it's been telling me like, "Hey, you have a critical update," and I update it every time, and then next time it's like, "Yo, it's critical," and it's like, "Hey, Microsoft, maybe make better software. Maybe this is your
We're gonna
problem
take away
where
all.
we have different ideas of what critical is because this is too much. This is too many critical updates."
Hmm.
So I like last weekend,
Yeah.
my wife was sick, and so we went to a game shop and bought the cords we needed to hook up my old PlayStation, and we've been playing PlayStation.
Okay.
Uh, Play-
PlayStation 1, 2.
PlayStation One.
Mm.
It's very hard. I will tell you what. It is right in that
Okay.
intersection between arcade games, which was like we just need to make these hard to get all your money, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
fun games. Well, I've been playing Mortal Kombat 4 and just getting wrecked every single time over and over and over and over and over again.
By the
It's so fun.
computer?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
we
if
only
you were
have
playing with your. Are you playing with your wife?
no, we only have one controller because the game shop. Well, here's the thing. I only had one control or well no, I didn't have any controllers. I thought I had one and then I couldn't find it. So we had to go buy a controller and they only had one in stock. So we're gonna order another one and a memory card. But yeah, we have like Crash Bandicoot, which is impossible.
Yeah. Crash
And
Bandicoot is like notoriously impossible though. That game has been impossible for years. Like recently they came out with a new one like a couple years ago, and it was like the exact same brand of impossible, but like newer looking.
that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's the whole PlayStation like market. Like, it wasn't until I feel like the next generation of consoles, the consoles became consoles because like they were just like, yeah, it's like arcade games, right? We just feed quarters into it, and it's like, no, dude, these games should be fun. Like, Crash
Yeah.
Bandicoot still has a live system. So does Mortal Kombat. There's like a live system. If you lose too many times, you have to start over. And it's like,
Mhm.
really? This is what I have to do? I have to start over? And I always do. I always get wrecked on all those games. We have Crash Team Racing, which is super fun. But again, without a memory card, it's kind of nothing to play.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's fun, man. I'm glad that I kept it because I was like, oh well, one day I'll hook it up. And then she was just wicked sick, and it was like, she was like, let's play PlayStation. I was like, okay, whatever, let's go get the PlayStation stuff. Like you're on the doorstep of death, but I'll just go get PlayStation games for you. So
Hmm.
it's a lot of fun.
I mean, that's the dream right there. I think that as you're saying that, like, all of the nerdy guys that are unmarried are just like, man, if I could just find a love like that.
A wife who, when she's sick and upset, wants to just play PlayStation.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Pretty rad, man. Well, you were in that whole like crowd in college where it was like, hey, let's play Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, right?
Hmm. Well, Super Smash Brothers and that was mostly it. We didn't play a lot of Mario Kart, but oh my gosh, wasn't there a story involved with that I couldn't? There's a story there that I can't remember, but I'll see if I can remember it. I remember there was like a piece of drama from my past that was related to me doing something in Super Smash Brothers. I
That's
feel
so
like
embarrassing.
I know, but I feel like it had to do with like one of my old girlfriends that you knew about.
Like the old girlfriend I know about, or
Yeah, the one from college.
well, wait a minute, the one that I know from college or the one from
The one
high
that
school?
you know from college.
Oh, okay. Your high school
Yeah.
girlfriend.
No, my college girl.
Oh, oh, the girl I
You
also
know,
know.
like one of the two.
Well, then there was also the one girl. I don't know if you dated her. She was nice.
Yeah,
The blonde one.
no, not officially. This is this is good content.
Whatever, man. We're building a world. We're building
Yeah,
out the
yeah, yeah,
lore.
yeah. No, we never dated. We went on dates, but it kind of fizzled out.
She was nice.
Yeah, she was. Still
Um,
is, presumably. She's probably I see her friends all the time, and it's just like, hey, where's blank blank? And it's like, oh, she's in Indonesia or something. It's like, hey, that sounds great.
that's what it was. You guys never dated because you were like, yeah, she's really sweet. You're like, oh yeah, you guys should go on dates. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We went on dates. It was really good. Oh yeah, yeah. You guys should totally date. Well, she's committed to moving to China and spending her whole life doing missionary work. And I was like,
Yeah, so
okay, break that right off. I was like, yeah, we decided to go on dates and it was very amicable. It's like, okay, all right, good idea. Yeah, that's a good one.
it's like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Cool, I'm not doing that. All right, cool. Well, this was fun.
See
Thanks for
you. See you
thanks
next
for,
weekend.
thanks
All
for the
right.
food, dog.
Yeah. No, your college girlfriend.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking that there is a story involved, and it's something to do with how she got unnecessarily upset about something. Like, I don't want to say that I beat her in Smash and I did a joke, but I think it was one of those things where it was one of those many, many times where I was like, hey, this is a playful comment, and then it got taken all the way into the nothing sphere of just me getting yelled at. So
Weird you guys broke up. That's so weird.
yeah, yeah, yeah. For separate reasons too. It wasn't even
For
that.
totally different reasons
Yeah,
than
that should
that.
have been like, cool. This is not gonna go great.
Yeah, totally
It's
unrelated.
one of those times where because I don't know if you remember this, but a lot of the people that we knew dating in college and were engaged in college, was like, man, sometimes I think that marriage isn't worth it. You're just like, dang, maybe that's just how our lives go.
People were telling you that marriage isn't what?
No,
What?
there's that one very specific day in our lives where we were gonna go see a movie.
Oh my God.
Our friend was like, I have to check in with my wife, and they'd been married for 2 minutes. They'd been married for a month or something, and then he picked up the phone and he was like, "Hey, babe, can I go see this movie with my friends?" And she, because she is amazing, was like, "Yeah, dude, totally. That's fine." And then he hung up the phone and then looked at us and was like, "Boys never get married."
I was like, hey buddy, you you really sort of married up, and I don't know if you get that.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's super cool.
That is the all-time best couple of all time. Is just the one that we know. This guy dated out of his sphere in the most unimaginable way, and he's just like, man, the old train him. It's like, or are you what is this? He popped out of a 1950s cartoon.
You know what's funny is I interact with a lot of people who give me that line the other way around, and it's not appreciated, and it's I mean, it doesn't whatever. It doesn't hurt my feelings, but it is so weird. Where I'll be talking to somebody and they'll just be like, oh, and I was talking about my wife, and they'll just be like, oh, can I see a picture? I'm like, sure. And I'll show them a picture on my phone. They're like, wow, you're really batting out of your league, and I'm like, wow, I didn't. I didn't ask for your commentary on my looks. Thanks. And I know they're trying to be that emotionally vulnerable in the way that some guys are, where you just are mean and you're just like,
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
give you a compliment, but I'm an emotional cripple, so I'm gonna insult you, which is fine. Whatever. You hang out with boys long enough, it's just like, sure,
yeah,
this is how we talk. But I get it all the time. I get it all the time. And they're like, wow. I remember one guy, I was saying, yeah, my wife's really pretty. And he just goes, yeah, man, I'm married up too. And I was like, I didn't say I mean, I guess I feel that I did, but I don't think that that's not what I said. I just said my wife's pretty, and he's like,
yeah.
"Yeah, man, I'm married. I'm ugly too, and I married a pretty girl." And I was like, I guess we're probably not gonna be friends, huh?"
Yeah,
So,
that is the go-to, I think. Because I that is it's so weird to because that is such a easy it's such an easy line that it's permeated itself into all of culture. Whereas if you see a really pretty girl that's married to a boy, you're just
yeah,
like, wow, you good you did it. You really married and I feel I know people that probably get that all of the time. And yeah, I can't. I've never been on the receiving end of that, so it can't be that like great. But it's like it is that is like such, as you said, that is such a boy compliment. Like, man, you did it. The thing that we have been trying to do all of our lives, marry pretty girls. You did it. Good work. And it's like that's not a compliment.
Well, and it's so funny because like what the normal response is, oh yeah, she's pretty. That's it. That's all you like have to say.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like some guys just like are not emotionally developed to do
yeah.
that. And so
We
they're
just
like, I
have
have
to turn it into like a whackety schmackety, very, very tired line.
yeah, it's like playing the dozens. You gotta just be like, I gotta give it to you and you'll give it back, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, which is fine. Again, seriously, like you hang out with boys for like
Yeah.
2 minutes and it's just like, oh, you guys are just mean to each other all the time. It's like, yeah, basically, like that's sort of being a boy, but
Hmm.
or grunting and drinking beer. That's sort of the other option. Is
Or
like,
catching things on fire in your apartment while you're shirtless, just like boy stuff.
yeah, I think that was peak boy for me.
Hmm.
Uh, whatever, man. It was fun. I think I was melting an army man. The more I think about it, I think I was melting an army man down on an old tube TV. I know it was on the old tube TV, but I don't know why I would. That was one of the coolest summers of my life because I was working at the church and I was working 20 hours a week. And so I'd be able to like get done with work at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I would go to the abandoned lot next door, chop down a tree, chop it into firewood, and then make a fire. And that was like my whole day. Like that's what I would do for a life. And it was just that was a great way to spend like a year.
Yeah. I should chop down more trees.
Well, they were very little trees. They were not big trees. They were very little
Yeah,
trees.
yeah. That was
But
a
it was still a lot of fun.
yeah. That's a camping trip I went on recently. Was the guy I was with like insisted on chopping down like trees, and he had an axe that he had made. He had made the handle of it, and
Cool.
that was like how he had spent the majority of the day while I was like getting actual sticks. I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna get these actual sticks.
Right.
Literally on the ground for us.
Well, yeah, wait, that would be my question is like he was chopping down a live tree that he was going to burn that night.
Yeah, but this guy, he's like a woodsman who has been a woodsman forever, and he is just like always trying to out woodsman himself.
But did it work? Because
I mean, it didn't not work, but we already had like a fire going.
okay,
Uh,
because I was gonna say the wood would be very wet if it was alive. Like I left out a step. I would cut down a tree, put it in the pile with the firewood, and then take the old firewood that was already there and burn that. Like you,
yeah,
okay, I see what you're
I
saying. I
mean,
see.
it worked. As he got there and he or they got there and was like, I'm just gonna chop down these trees with this axe. I was like, perfect. Yeah, like that seems like something you do. So I'm gonna like you do that, and I'm gonna go like get a baby fire started, and then you turn it into whatever you're gonna have turn it into by chopping down these trees.
Well, hey man, whatever works works.
But
But
I mean, yeah, whatever works. So and it worked. So there's nothing I could have been like, it's gonna be really wet. It's like, nope, it's actually on fire. So never mind. I cannot say anything to you about that.
building a fire is one of my favorite activities in the world to do. It is the most fun.
It is it is the most fun, but the most shame inducing if you can't get it started.
True. You have to practice
But
in private for a long time
yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah. To practice in private. Because that's the thing about fires is, and this is one thing I've seen a lot because you and I grew up, you and I went to college in the same circles where you have like, it's like people that start a fire don't know how to do it, but they think they know how to do it. And
So
then it's just like 40 minutes of us just like watching someone try to start this fire. And then them getting really pissy whenever you're like, hey, how about you? It's like, oh, I got it. I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm just going to go over here then.
I remember one time, oh my gosh, and this guy was always like, "Yo, Sam always gives me crap about my fires." And I remember one time walking up to the fire pit, and everyone's standing around very cold, and I look, and he's got a big ball of paper
Good.
lid
Yes.
sitting on the ground, just sitting on like the ash in the fire pit. And then there's a pizza box,
Yes.
which is like the pizza box lid sticking up, and then a piece of like plywood or like it was like a big thick
Uh,
stick holding it up. It looked like a mouse trap kind of where it's like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and can you imagine that it's a teepee one of the sides is a pizza box, the other side is a stick, and at not touching either of those things in the middle is a burning piece of paper.
Man.
And I just looked at him and I was like, you it's all bad. And he was like, Sam always got like, because you were the worst at making fires in the world. Like you made the
Yeah.
worst fires.
Man, that truly is like that's the one. That is like but like but then again back and like if you do know how to like that is like it's something that everyone thinks they know how to do or like people think they know how to do, but is immediately impressive if you can pull it off really quickly.
Well, that's why I spent like, because I remember going to your house or just inviting you over and spent like 6 months just trying to figure out
Yeah.
like how can I do this without what's it, paper towels or like paper. And
Mhm.
and the whole reasoning was like one day, not today, not soon, but one day I'm gonna need to make a fire. Like it's just I just believe that in my heart that like one day I'm gonna need to make a fire, and that is not the day to figure out how to make a fire. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you don't want to practice karate when you're getting jumped in an alley. Like that's not really
Yeah.
the time to practice karate. And so you kind of need to do that. And I just got that idea in my head like one day you're going to need to make a fire. And so it became my obsession like I need to be able with the equipment around me and flint and steel to be able to make a fire. And I did that for a year and a half. And then I moved to the city. So it's not
Yeah,
really, if
yeah.
I made a fire now, I would go to jail.
But then again, it's like the same thing as knowing how to change a tire. Like it's just a necessary skill. Like
Well, that's
a skill you never think you do real like you never are like living your life being like I'm about to change a tire today. But it's like once you know how to do it, it's like sweet. This is such an easy and learnable thing to do, but it's for some reason immediately impressive.
that also is, I mean, that exact same motivation is why I learned how to fix cars. Like that just like built-in fear of like one day you are going to need this, and like when that day comes you're going to need to know how to do it. And also like fixing a car is super expensive. So when I was so in college, I started that same year, I started changing my own oil, and then that like slowly developed to where like my wife's car broke down like last week, and I just sat for a week trying to diagnose it and fixing it, and like it was overheating, and so I was like, okay, do this and then change the thermostat because I was like,
Mm.
one day I'm gonna need this, and so
Yeah.
I need to learn how to fix this car.
Yeah, I'll have to learn how to do that. My car is the newest car I've ever owned. Like with the 1995 Ford Mercury Cougar with the heavy doors.
Mm.
That car seems like one that would be necessary to have the skills to learn how to like because the motor was like this is a 1995 motor. This is barely a car, um, and so I feel like that one I could like finagle some system together. But the one that I have now is so very like everything is smart. Everything is like microchipped or computerized, and
Mm.
I am like so nervous I'm going to break something. But I know all the basics, but I feel like if like a overheating thing happened, like cool, well, this car, like I don't know what to do.
Well, I mean, it was basically a week of me going like, I think it's this, I think it's this, and then my father-in-law, who is a mechanic, was like, no, it's
Oh,
probably, yeah, he works on jet engines, and so he was
that
like
that
the
lines
cool.
up.
Yeah, he's the coolest.
Yeah, that lines up with my picture of him.
Oh, duh, you've met him. Yeah, he's the coolest. So
Yeah,
he
I'm
works
crazy.
for Crazy Nick and Broccoli Rob. Uh, yeah, that's too opaque. I do have to explain that. So at the wedding, which of
Yeah,
course Zach was in, and my friend Robert, who I think I've mentioned before, my wife's dad just kept calling him. He wanted to call him Crazy Zach and Broccoli Rob. He's also not drunk in this story. It's gonna sound like he's drunk.
yeah, but
He
like
it means he's just
like to
wacky.
me, it means like yeah, so much more endearing because like there's like different brands of dad. There's like I'm the stoic and like not very present father, and then there's like the like full on like I am a dork and I am like wacky and zany and like your father-in-law is like he is just like from the I think the moment I met him that like my introduction to him was essentially me having to figure out why he just called me crazy Zach.
Right. And so then he's calling you crazy. He's a wacky dude. And he was calling you crazy Zach and Broccoli Rob. And he would just be like, crazy Zach. But then at some point in the night, he forgot your name.
Yeah, no,
And
it started with he walked up to me and he went like you'd said like this is them and he just went crazy Nick and I was and then so like at that point I was like oh I can still save face because this is like his first time ever meeting me. I was like oh I'm actually Zach and he was like oh sorry crazy Zach and that was the last time he called me crazy Zach.
yeah, it was crazy Nick for the rest of the
Crazy
night.
Nick. And like the second and third time, I was like, whatever, man. Like we're not gonna interact. You're just gonna come to me. You're gonna say crazy Nick, and that's fine.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
he like insisted on playing Brick House, like face on brick. And then I like I like wanted to dance next to him because he's the funniest person in the world. And then I was like doing this like my little like dance, and then he was like, "There he is, there's crazy Nick," and I was like, "That's me."
Crazy Nick and Broccoli Rob. Well, and that was so funny. There were so many things that at the wedding where like we were upstairs and we are in the groom's like suite, and it was I think it was me, my brother, and my dad, and maybe like Evan or someone. I don't remember who else was here, but it was me and my brother for sure, and I think my dad. And the DJ comes in, and he just really misread the first. Okay,
Mm.
so he walks in and he goes, "It's like gonna start in like 30 minutes." He's like, "Are you guys ready to party?" And you know what? Shame on me. So we said, "Yeah," because like
Good.
whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Right. Ask if you're ready to party once. Shame on me. Ask if you're ready to party twice. Shame on you. Because we all went, yeah. And he's like, I can't hear you. Are you ready to party?
The three of you?
Yeah, the three. It was like, you are reading the wrong room. This is not gonna happen.
That is
And we're just
so
like,
funny.
we
And
slightly louder just went,
yeah.
yeah.
That was such a and like no one else is in their suit and you're in your suit because you got in it the second you got there.
It's true.
Meanwhile,
like,
me and Broccoli Rob are moving a car from one parking lot to another parking lot.
hey man, whatever. You just got to do what everyone says.
That's exactly like I was like being a groomsman is basically like I've been saying this to people like so much. Like being a groomsman is you staying put in a room and if they get you, they get you and you do whatever they say. Like they just like, okay, listen, these flowers are awful. Just go buy a bunch of Jolly Ranchers. I'm like, perfect. Yeah. Like I'll do whatever. Like I do not want to be the reason to cause any extra stress. I'm just some dude that was invited that has to be here way earlier than all the other dudes.
I think the way, I mean, being a groom is a little different because it's like, no, you just have to stay in this room and drink beer and wait. But my experience seeing everyone else, like, I think a good way to adjust your expectations, and this is what life is, it's just adjusting your expectations. If you're going to be in a wedding, if you're going to be a groomsman in a wedding, if anyone asks you something, just assume that if you don't do it and you don't do it right, they're gonna burst into flames. Because if that's your expectation, the way everyone asks makes way more sense. When it's like, we just need you to do this, it's like, that seems overly urgent. It's like I'm not confused about the situation. I know what needs to happen when, and it's not that big a deal. But if you just put in your mind like they'll burst into flames, like they're gonna actually physically, that's why they're so worried. They will literally catch on fire. Because they're stressed. Because you know what, man? Being a woman planning a wedding is so much harder than being a man planning a wedding. I guess in straight weddings. I don't know how the dynamic works in non-hetero weddings, but if you're just like a typical straight wedding, like being the guy is like, I don't know, man, show up and pay for stuff and like that's your deal. And like my wife planned so much of that and had so much stress and had so much to deal with, and I appreciate it, but the thing was she didn't ask me because it would have been like asking a dog to retype your paper. It was just like, you don't, Sam, you don't have the skills. And I was like, you're right. I don't have the skills for this. So everything was like, we need this to happen now. And it's like, okay, all right, yeah, whatever. I don't understand why that's so important, but apparently it is. So I gotta go do it. Yeah, you're gonna catch on fire, and then we can't have a wedding anymore. So like, we gotta go do whatever that is.
Yeah, and you, oh my gosh, you hired the world's best wedding planner,
Oh
who
yeah.
was this woman who I think acted as like a goalie of all the bull crap that would have come your way. And she was just like ferocious, and I loved her.
Her name is Tijan, and she is a wedding planner for the Gillespie in Louisville. So if you're planning a wedding,
Yeah,
hit her
dude.
up. She's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I have. I was so impressed with how short her answers were to like nonsense, and like I was like, "You're the best. This is great." And she
At
kept
one point,
she kept
go
giving
ahead.
us beer somehow. Like she like somehow kept willing it into existence.
At one point, I was standing around. We were like taking pictures, or we were about to take pictures, and I was hearing these rumblings about the catering. And I found out later what was going on, but at the moment, I didn't hear anything. I just heard people talking about the catering. And I looked at Tijan and I said, "Is there a problem with the catering?" I wasn't like mad. I was just curious, like what was going on. I was like, "Is there a problem with the catering?" And she looks me dead in the eyes and goes, "You don't have a problem." And I said, "Thank you." And I didn't, you know what? I didn't have a problem. And she
Yeah.
solved it. And I found out like a week later, like, hey, just asking somebody who would know, like I think it was my mother-in-law. She's like, "Hey, what was with the catering?" I was like, "Oh, they were 2 hours late." Oh, good.
Wow.
I'm glad Tishan handled that.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, just, you don't have a problem. I said, great. I took my pictures. I went back upstairs. I had a beer. It was fantastic. It was the wedding was great for me. I just got to hang out and everybody cheered. It was really fun.
Yeah, that's essentially that is exactly what happened. And yeah, man, that I think you two had the most perfect energy for a wedding ever of just like I think both you and your wife are just like this whole place could catch on fire. I don't care. Like this, whatever. This is fine. Like everyone needs like, and I feel like that permeated its way into the crowd itself. Everyone's like, yeah, sure, whatever. This is fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
and I was really surprised because people always talk about like and this is gonna sound cheesy, but I'm being straight up where everyone's like, "Oh, my wedding day was perfect," and I've always like tried to keep my expectations because expectations are so important. Trying to keep my expectations so low of like, look, man, it's not gonna be perfect. Get that out of your mind, and maybe because that's how I set my expectations for my like whole adult life. Like, don't expect this to be perfect. Like, just
mhm.
always the joke I tell is like, "Oh, what do you want at your wedding?" It's like, look, man, as long as I get married at the end of it, I do not care how this goes. And that's always what I've said is like, I don't care. I want them to play the song Hey Jude by the Beatles and I want to end married. So, and they did both those things. So it's great. But speaking as someone who got married, it was perfect, man. It was so great. It was just a bunch of like hanging out and dancing and having fun. Like it was a really, and maybe it's because I kept my expectations low, but like, man, weddings are rad. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we got there, we hung out in that one room with the weird windows, and
Oh, yeah.
everyone had specific tasks, and everyone did them all very well. My task at the wedding was to ensure there were no dance circles.
That is always your task at every wedding.
Yeah,
Always. Oh
that is
my
true.
God.
I have, and this is, I think, the first time I'm saying this publicly. I have such a deep hatred of dance circles. Dance circles are not fun.
It should be punishable.
They have never been fun. And if you're in one, like no one has ever started a dance circle intentionally. Not one person. What happens is one person is having fun and they accidentally reveal to the room that they are skilled at dancing. And what happens is a bunch of dicks make a circle around them, and then it's like, now dance for us, puppet. And that person immediately leaves the circle because they don't want to be there anymore. They are ashamed this has ever happened. And then it is just a bunch of people standing in a circle, clapping towards an empty circle, and no one is having fun. And
It's
eventually it devolves into someone getting pushed into the circle. And then every time, no matter what, without fail, someone will do a thing where they throw a lasso or like do a fishing joke of catching a person on the other side of the circle and pulling them across. And it is always awful and they go way too long. Even if dance circles were okay, which they're not, they do not need to be 2 to 3 minutes long of people standing and clapping towards an empty circle. They're the worst things in the world. I don't know why we have ever let them continue happening because they're like no one has ever been like that was a great dance circle. That entire time was really fun. No, it is always awful.
They're an atrocity and should be a war crime. But do you
The
remember?
convention was like meeting and like, you know what? As a matter of fact, no more dance. The dance circles are illegal. Like dance circles, like
Unless there are at least 5 people who make their living as a dancer in the
yeah,
dance circle, it's not allowed. Like it has to be like you have to have a quorum of dancers. Otherwise,
yeah.
I remember my I remember the acute moment where hated dance circles and I realized why they were truly
Hmm.
evil. And it was you and I at a garage party at the Borough. And this was I don't know what year. This was the year that the song Sail by AWOL Nation was popular.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
And we are friends and like to have fun and have joy in our eyes. So
I
we
was
like dancing.
I was so surprised you didn't play Sail at your wedding. But then again, you didn't have that much control. But yeah, so yes, this story is
Well, I
awful.
also don't even care that much about the song. And I'm infinitely afraid that this will
I
happen again.
This is such a cemented memory in my life. So like I love that song solely because of what you're about to say.
Just okay, just an aside about dancing in general. Like I don't like it's one of those things where it's like, guys, I'm not doing a thing.
Yeah.
I'm just dancing because I like dancing. Like there's not a second bit to this. That's what is bad about dance circles. It's like it's supposed to be performative. And it's like, no, this isn't a performance. I just like dancing. It's just a thing. I'm not good at it. I just enjoy it in crowds, at parties or bars. It's fun. I like dancing. It's fun. So we agree on this. And you and I are probably just like listening to my dorm room or like driving around. I think it was driving around. We would always do kind of like a silly dance. You know, the song, it's got these big like bwomp kind of sounds to it.
Yeah, and that song is like the most.
Yeah, it's the most bwomp. And we would drive around and like, you'd like right before it did it, you'd like pull your hands really close to the steering wheel and then it'd be like bwomp and you'd throw your hands out and be like really far away and be like and just like dancing, right? Just like having
Yeah.
fun like human beings who still have light in their eyes.
Hmm.
And so the song comes on at the party and we're like getting high because it has
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a lead up. It has like a lead up to it. And we're like,
yeah.
oh
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Just like
yeah,
again,
yeah.
being normal people having fun. Like we're not doing a performance. That's the thing. I think that's what got under my skin about it was like
Yeah,
I don't like when you're in a party and everyone's worried about who's watching them at the party. It's like just
yeah.
be like then go get on Snapchat. Like don't be here. So we're like just having fun and we start like, "Oh yeah." And this giant party-sized dance circle opens up. I remember looking someone in the eyes and going, "We're not doing a thing."
Yeah.
And we couldn't dance to the song. We had to stop because we were like,
Yeah,
it
and
became clear that everyone was going to watch us do a choreographed dance.
yeah,
And it was like, we aren't
yeah,
going to
and
do
like it was
that.
just like the dance itself, and like I noticed the dance circle happening, and I like leaned into how absurd it was because like it is not technically skillful at all. It's just like being really big with all of your movements and like
Yeah.
just like shaking around and like with each like pop, 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 just like flailing your arms and it's like being super like just big
Happy.
and
Sorry, I think you
happy,
mean happy.
yeah, having a like just being there, having a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And like people are just looking at us as if we're like doing something, and we could more clearly not be doing something.
Right. Like, what about this looks choreographed thus
Yeah,
far?
yeah, or like pre-planned. Like I have not done a move like a recognizable anything this whole time, and like people, it ended with people being like, "That was weird," and it was like, "Well, it wasn't for you."
Yeah, like it wouldn't have been weird if you didn't make a garage-sized hole for us to here because okay, this is the last thing I'll say because it is a bummer. But like the thing is in a movie, you make a dance circle because someone's gonna do something amazing,
Yeah,
which is a choreographed dance. At a bad party, you'll make a dance circle because someone's gonna do something amazing, which is enjoy themselves. And
Yeah.
it's like we're just doing a dance because it's fun. And I get that we're the only people in here doing that, but leave me alone. Leave me alone. Like let me do my silly dance and don't make a party out of it. And we had to leave it. I was like, all right, bye.
Yeah.
And I like walked out of the garage. Not
Yeah.
like mad, but just like, well, this is the most uncomfortable thing ever because I'm doing a silly dance that doesn't look good. I need to emphasize that. It's just silly dancing. And the entire party is now watching with the bated breath for the choreographed dance. And it's like, no, dude, I gotta get out. And that's when I said I hate dance circles. But when I got engaged, I told you your one job
Yeah.
a year and a half from now is going to be you have to keep the dance circles from happening because I hate them so much.
And also, like, I think they're predicated on this like showmanship of like dance battles. Which when have you ever seen one of those go well? Um, like I was. This is such a weird story that I don't think I've told like anyone. I was like, so this was back in the days where we would go to these big conferences, and there was this big dancing in a conference. Which, if you were having a great time, it was super fun. But
Very
if you
fun.
were like, worried about whatever, I was told this whole week. I don't know what was even happening here. I was told by these two girls that I know that there's like, hey, there's just someone who can dance really well, and we want you to challenge her to a dance contest. And I was like, absolutely not. That sounds awful. I don't want to do that. And they're like, oh, it'd be really funny or really fun. I'm like, it most certainly would not be. And I got like baited into it in this way. Like it was at the final dance thing. And I met this girl and I like walked up to her and I was like, hello, I'm Zach, da 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 da. And then she was like, hey, I think you and I are supposed to have a dance contest. And I was like, I know. And then she was like, oh, let's just do it. That's fun. And I was like, fine, whatever. And her intro move is a backflip.
Oops.
And I was just like, okay.
That's that quick survey.
I was like,
Can
we're
you do
here.
that?
And then I laughed.
You left?
No, I kind of like did this face of like, okay, I can't follow. Like there's nothing, what am I to do? And then I like did this thing where I like clapped and I like showed like did like ladies and gentlemen, this girl that did a backflip. And then I was like, congratulations. And I was like, okay, this is over, you win, bye.
It's just like, what universe did you live in where you think that this guy is gonna learn how to like do dances?
Yeah. And it was such a because she was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, backflip. And I was just like, all right.
Well, to be fair, she also didn't do a dance because that's not a dance.
Exactly. Yeah, that also is true, but it was impressive. And there's like, but yeah, it wasn't a dance. That's not like, I mean, she won because there's no way that I can, beat that. But
Well, the thing is with that, and this sounds like a fever dream, and it honestly feels like one. It must be so nostalgia over that like it just is beyond resembling the truth. But I know those girls. And the year before at the same conference, the freshman year of I assume this wasn't freshman year, but our freshman year, we went to this conference and we did have a dance battle. And what I remember about it that doesn't seem real
you and
was
me,
no, not you and me. A bunch of boys and a bunch of girls. It
yeah,
was
hold on. This does seem like a deep memory.
it seems like it's made up, but I remember this exactly. Where it was Andrew was was on the boy side, obviously.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he would like do a dance. And all the boys either would do it after him, but what it seems like, while this can't be true, what it seems like we would do is we would also do, I think what would happen is we would all huddle and say,
yeah.
we're going to do this kind of dance. And then we would do a dance. And then the
Do
girls,
that.
led by those two girls from your story,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
who bet their friendship, would then they would do a dance and then we'd huddle back and we do and this went on for a while. And
I
here's
do
what I'm
remember
saying.
this. Oh my gosh, I had repressed all of that.
Okay, so this happened, right? I didn't make this up. This isn't like some weird Oprah memory. This
Like
happened.
this is definitely at the behest of Andrew and those two girls, like that, because they were friends. And I think this was before Andrew would do that one, his move now, which is the bullhorns. This predates that.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Right. I tried to explain to my wife the drugs dance, which
No, yeah,
again sounds like a joke, but is like a real
yeah,
like when I think about it, it's like yeah, that's a
yeah.
real
Needles in my
it's
arms,
a real
needles in
dance.
my arms, needles in my arms, needles in my arms.
But it feels like a dance. Now I don't think that's even worth. I mean, I can't. I that is also too opaque for me to expect the listeners to care about. But I just also like don't know how to explain this dance where you would like do dance moves, but the dance moves were all based on taking drugs,
Yeah.
something that none of us did. So it's like I don't know where we. And I think one of the drugs was an EpiPen, so it's
Yeah,
like not.
it was needles in my arms, EpiPens, and my favorite one is got drugs, take them out.
Which okay, so this I can explain. So you have like, take your listeners, unless you're driving, in which case just do it like really fast. I don't know. Steer with your knees. So okay, there's three parts to this dance.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Needles in my arm.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do a Rosie the Riveter, and you're gonna take your other with one arm. You're gonna take your other arm, like you have a needle, and you're just gonna really stab it into your forearm. But it's but it's a dance. Remember, it's a dance. You're like needles in my arms, needles in my arms, and then you switch to the other side, and you do it on the other side.
So it's needles in my arms, 1, 2, needles in my arms, other side, and then needles in my arms, needles in my arms, and yeah, that's essentially that one. Is you move from one arm to the next, still doing the needle motion inside of your forearm,
and then you okay. So you're standing again. Give it some motion. Move your hips around.
Yeah,
right? It is a dance.
Mostly hips. If you use your hands more than your hips, you're not doing this one right.
So kind of just like take your fist and bump your hip bone and just like, yeah, you see that? You see that? You're bumping your hip bone. Okay. And then you say EpiPen, EpiPen, EpiPen. Because what you're doing is stabbing an EpiPen into your butt.
Yeah.
Or into like the side of your butt.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's what people do with EpiPens, but that was the dance.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, all right, again, don't do this while you're driving.
Yeah, this one's harder to do while you're driving.
Okay, so you got your two hands. Make fists. It's a very fist-based dance.
Yeah.
Put them together behind your back. All right, so you've got your hands behind your back like you're in handcuffs, like you sold drugs. And yeah, that's not the part. And then you take them, you go around, and you put them together in front of you, like you're holding a small Ziploc bag full of drugs. And you do that, and you go back, and then you go forward, and you say, you don't have to say any of this. Also, don't do this. Don't do this dance. It's funny. Like, it is funny.
I did this dance at Rachel's wedding just recently. The desk clerk that we knew.
Oh, she's married.
Yeah, she's just very recently. And when I went onto the dance floor, she was like, "Let's do the drug dance." And I was like, "Absolutely."
So you do that, and your hands behind your back. You say, "Got some drugs? Take them out. Got some drugs? Take them out." And you just do that on repeat. You do needles in your arms, EpiPen, got some drugs, and that was like, and here's okay. And I know what you're thinking. That's very lame, and probably insensitive. But let me just go back to an earlier comment. We are not doing this performatively.
Yeah.
We were doing this to have fun. And you know what? We did. And did it go on Instagram? No. It was just fun. It was just a fun thing we did as friends. And we thought it was very funny. And it's still pretty funny.
Yeah, that dance is problematic now, but whatever. It was problematic then too. That dance is funny.
It's just funny. It's just a funny. I'm not saying actually go do this. I'm not saying this is your new thing. I'm just saying, like, what a fun time. Just go have fun with your friends. Trying to add some positivity here.
That's true. Dancing is not, you'd think, because of how often it's put in that like frame of mind, that dancing is performative, but it's not. Dancing is 90% confidence, like fun, and 10% landing on a beat. If you do those two things, people will think that you can dance.
Yeah,
I think about that all the time. Like if you know, like if you listen to the song and you know when like the beat is coming or like anything, and you do like anything that like stays within that like time measure, people will think that you are a great dancer, which is good because you're having fun. But it's bad because people will think you're doing a thing.
And
be like, wow, like you're doing a thing, and it's like, what about this looks like pre-planned at all.
I remember in high school, right before prom, um, this friend of mine, he asked, well, he didn't ask him, he asked another friend of mine who I was like hanging out with. He was just like, "Hey, prom's coming up. Can you teach me how to dance?" And I don't remember what he told him, but it was not much more than what I'm about to say. But it's basically just like, think about your butt on the beat. Just either move it up and down or side to side, and then do something similar with your hands. And like honestly, you're probably fine. Like
Yeah.
if your butt moves when it's on a beat, you're dancing, and like don't sweat it. And
Mhm.
like essentially that's what he told him, was just like, yeah, man, I mean, don't sweat it. Like just like go for it. I
Um,
my fraternity, I think we recruited for guys who could do backflips. Let me tell you this. I knew a guy. I texted him this like a week ago, and I told him, 5 years ago you did a backflip off a ladder, and I'm still stressed out about it, and I'm mad at you. Because we were at a talent show and he was doing backflips like he always does. And he was like, let's kick it up a notch. And he got a 12-foot ladder, and he climbed to the top of a 12-foot ladder and did a backflip off a 12-foot ladder and landed it. I am still stressed out about it. I am still sitting here going, I hope Tyler makes it. Like, I know he's like married and moved and like is living his life. And I'm like, I really hope he lands that backflip off that ladder.
you,
It was the most
you,
stressed I've ever been in my
you're
entire.
living perpetually in that moment. Like it's
I
gonna be.
texted him. I was mad. I was mad at him. I thought about it. It stressed me out. I was like stressed thinking about him backflipping off the ladder, and I was like mad at it. I was like, Tyler, I'm angry with you for doing this backflip. But we had 15% of the fraternity could all do backflips. Like they all, it was like you'd walk down into the basement and they'd be doing a clinic where like they're like, yeah, and they've got their hand on their back, like, yeah, and then you just keep going over and they were just like teaching the new guys backflips. I was like, what are you why is this our thing now? Like Crocs and backflips? Like, what are we doing as a
Croc
group of people?
Croc's backflips and 3.7 GPA.
Yeah. I had a guy ask me, he's like, you have to have like a 4.0 to be in your fraternity, right? And I was like, not even close. Like, not, I am nowhere close to there. And then he goes, all right, I'll tell the truth if you tell the truth. And I was like, okay. I don't know why I was in this guy's house, honestly. It was kind of a long story. But I'm in this dude's house, and he's like, do you guys haze your pledges? And I was like, no. Oh, and he looked really defeated, and he goes, yeah, we do. And I was like, yeah, dude, I know you broke a glass earlier and called the pledge to go clean it up. Like, I know that you do that. You're a monster. And he was like, oh, man.
Yeah, one of my friends that rushed to fraternity is like talking to some dudes from another fraternity, and they were just like they said something to the effect of like, I mean, everybody hates it. It's just a matter of if you get caught. Honestly, it was like, cool. This conversation's going great. I'm leaving.
So you're like a crazy person, huh? Like,
Yeah,
look, it's totally cool. It's like guy stuff. You just like humiliate and abuse all these people until they love you because you
yeah,
got humiliated and abused. And that's why you love other people,
yeah, yeah.
right?
It's like,
You're like fundamentally broken,
yeah,
man.
it's. I mean, it's like it's Stockholm syndrome at work on display. So
Yeah. It's
it's like
like, yeah, we just like make them get super drunk and embarrass themselves in front of all the
that.
girls that they like. And it's
I
like,
mean, that really is the move though, because like it really does trick your brain because like you think to yourself, it's like, man, I must really like these guys, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. And
right.
you're just man, I must really, really want to do this. I must really, really want to be a part of this organization.
Or like, I love my pledge brothers because we went through this terribleness together. And then you like forget that, like, oh, wait a minute, which is true, where it's like, oh, we really grew closer together because we went through this nightmare of a time. And then there's this weird switch of like, so we should do it to other people. And it's like, nah, you actually should probably get those dudes arrested probably for what they did because they're awful. If anyone gets you drunk and makes you sing in your underwear in front of a bunch of girls, like they're probably gonna murder some girl. So like
Mhm.
maybe just like maybe that's not what you need. But it was always such a funny thing of like, yeah, that was the thing. It's like we didn't haze, and we had a slightly better GPA than other fraternities. And it was just like, oh, you guys are like the super nerds. And it was like, boy, I wish. But like, no, I'm skating by over here. Like, I'm really trying my best and it's not happening. So, like, sorry, man. We're just not. abusing people in our basement. We're teaching them backflips. That's like
Yeah, that's
that's
and
something.
and
We have a
honestly,
pool table.
if they don't do a backflip, they have to drink from a beer pong. So I mean,
Yeah,
or a beer pong.
I was gonna let it go. Uh, yeah. I mean, it was man, fraternity life. Sometimes I look back and go, man, that was such a nice growing experience, and then I think, wow, every second of that was embarrassing. Like basically, like pretty much frame by frame, that was like an embarrassing. Like, okay, so
It's it's you going to mixers and then it's you going to mixers having people crap on your porch and then stuffing floats.
no, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, I mean, that is embarrassing. Mixers is certainly embarrassing. It was a lot of like, so walk me through this. There's going to be 150 guys who are going to come into the house during rush week, and I have to decide what, um, if they're good for their fraternity. Okay, but like by what measure? Like, I don't know if they're cool or whatever. It's like,
Dude, it's like
oh, that's
it's
kind
like
of an embarrassing way to live your life that we have to
that's
make
so funny.
these
It's like
decisions.
man, if like it's like if you like whatever, dude. I don't care where you come from. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what your parents do, dude. If we vibe, we vibe.
I mean, it's really not that much more
I
complicated.
really that's like kind of like how because you're seeing like a bunch of people and it's like, dude, if we vibe, we vibe.
Yeah, and like it was, oh man, and that whole process is so embarrassing. Not really the big swatches where it's just like you just meet somebody and it's like, hey man, I don't like you, and they're like, I don't like you, and it's like, cool, dude, let's
Cool.
just not waste our time because we got that a lot where they'd be like,
Yeah.
look, man, I'm just trying to like party. And there was also this rumor that they were like, oh yeah, there's no alcohol at their parties, and I was like, no, I mean there is. Like I don't know where you got that idea, but like nobody goes home in an ambulance, but like, no, we just so there'd be guys who come in, they're like, look, man, I'm just trying to get wasted and party, so I don't think this is gonna work. And it's like, you know what, man, I think you're right. I don't think this is gonna work.
And you're right.
So those were easy, fun conversations because then you could just like chill with the dude and it didn't matter. Like it doesn't matter how this goes. You don't want to join our fraternity. I don't want you to throw up on my porch. So like I don't want you to join the fraternity. This is great. But then you'd have guys where it's like, okay, well, we can only take 13 people for reasons that are unclear to me, and we have 14 guys who we really like, so we have to decide that this guy is cool and we like him, but he's not cool enough and we don't like him enough that he can be our friend, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole process is embarrassing. This is a really dumb thing we're doing and I hate this.
Did you guys ever have to do the thing where you like put people up on a projector and like the whole fraternity went through them?
I actually don't know if I'm
Or
allowed
is
to
that
talk
like a
about it.
Hollywood thing?
I don't think I'm allowed.
Okay, fine. Don't
I'm
say
gonna
it.
pass. I'm gonna pass. I actually
Okay,
don't
yeah, that's
know
great. Yeah, pass.
if I'm allowed to talk about what
That is
happens.
totally allowed. Yeah, it
I
within
can tell you that we decide between people, but I don't think, not that it matters. Not that it, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, listen, you got to keep the secrets. You can't just be willy nilly throwing secrets around.
Well, the reason is
You don't
because,
be giving the Illuminati secrets because they trust me.
well, like some of it is just because you're like, I just don't want to like, I don't know. It's so embarrassing. It's such an embarrassing situation of just like, wow, this is like really dumb and not worth anything. But then, of course, you get past Rush and you get past like, some of the dumb stuff, and it's just like, oh, so it's just like people who like each other hanging out at a big house. That's fun. And like we throw parties sometimes. Oh, this is good. I enjoy this. You know what I mean? Because again, we were like, I don't know, I still focus on school and get my degree, and we weren't binge drinking and we weren't like assaulting women, and so it was like cool. It's just like cool dudes who hang out. Like, oh, fun. Like that part of it was really, really fun. But a lot of the actual like Greek part of it was pretty just like, this is embarrassing and I can't believe, like, I didn't care that much, and I am embarrassed by the amount I did care. Even
That
even though I didn't care that much, I'm embarrassed by how much I
Yeah,
care.
the funny thing about the fraternity you were in is like that truly does seem like the vibe of like it's like being I'm trying to think of a polite way to say this. Like too smart to be dumb, but too dumb to be smart. Like you guys like it's like
Yeah.
it's like we don't like none of us want to be doing these things, but we have to. And it was like you don't even have to be in a fraternity. You could just like find these guys, and it's like no, but we have to do these things because it's an organization. So it's like all of you were equally like not very into it, but like just had to be there, like had to be there. Like I think if it was up to like most of the people that I met that were in a fraternity, if it was up to them, you guys would just do like the hang out at the house and whatever. But like the like not really involved in the pageantry of it all, except for Spring Sing, which you guys were extremely involved in the pageantry of.
Well, yeah, because it was dancing and it was fun. But okay, so I will say two things. Number one, too smart to be dumb, too dumb to be smart should be the subtitle of my book. I'm calling it now. Uh, but also like just I just want to give a like a concrete example to explain why it was so frustrating and stupid. Was like is really Rush where it's like, okay, so we have all these guys and we have to pick them. Okay. So we have to make cuts. All right, well, that sucks. Why do we have to make cuts? Well, we can't take everybody. Okay, why? Well, because then we're not really an organization. Like, if you literally take everyone, then it's not a thing. And to have some sort of camaraderie, there has to be a limited number of people because you have to know, you only know like a certain number of people. Like, that was a big thing for us is we didn't want to go over 80. Like, we had 80 guys and we just wanted to have 80 guys. And we did eventually, and it just eventually just couldn't hold that line. But for a long time, we only wanted to have 80 guys. Because if we got bigger and bigger numbers, you wouldn't get to know the people as well. And then there isn't really a point to the fraternity. Because we weren't like building a bridge in Guatemala. Like we didn't have like a concrete goal exactly. So it was like the abstract goal is like that you meet guys that you have things in common with that and you build each other up and make each other better. And I think in a lot of general ways that was true and that was the goal when I was there. But then you get down to this brass tacks of it of like, okay, well, we only want to have 80 guys because that's the number we've decided because we think that that's a reasonable number of guys that you can kind of know. Because then it's like 120 over 4 years, right? Because guys graduate, new guys come in. You got about 120 over your 4 years. You can get, it's a reasonable number of people to get to know, grow, learn from. It's going to be a lot of different kinds of guys, hopefully, right? Okay, well, then now we've got Jimmy and Jerry, and there's only one spot left, and it sucks, but like, which of these two guys do you think will help that purpose better? And it's like, yeah, but this is stupid. And it's like, yeah, okay, but like 60 guys wanted to get bids. If we let all 60 in, we're not going to get to know all of them. And then the thing that makes us an organization you want to join, which is a group of guys who get to know each other and grow together, goes away. Right? Does that make sense? Like the thing that people want to join is like, oh, it's this close brotherhood of guys who in general like have their heads on straight and care about school and aren't sociopaths, hopefully, and want to build each other up and make each other better. Well, that only works if we can all kind of generally know each other. So we can't let everybody in, which means we have to do the crappy thing of saying like, you can't get in. And it's like, I don't like saying that. I don't like that this process exists. But for the life of me, I can't think of a better way to do it. Like the better way to do it is to not have fraternities. Like that's the solution. Is like, oh, maybe fraternities shouldn't exist because like at best, this is what you're doing is like trying to build each other up and make each other better while still getting your degree. But that requires the worst thing ever, which is rush. And it's like, yeah, I don't really have a solution for this. This all just kind of sucks. And it's like, yes, it does. It all kinds of sucks. Which again, it's way worse for the kids not getting a bid than it is the people who have to turn them down. But it also sucks to turn people down because you're like, no, I do like you and want to be your friend, but it's like breaking up with somebody. It's like I understand why that's not going to happen. Like I understand that we're not going to keep being friends. I just told you that you can't join the fraternity. Like I know that we're not going to be friends and this is going to hurt your feelings. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but like I can't think of a way out of this.
Yeah.
Because if you have a 600 person group, then you just don't have a group. It's like, well, then there's nothing there. I can't get to know you all, and that's the whole value of the group. So I don't know what to do. It's fraught.
Catch 22.
But then there's also drinking and babes. No, that's gross. All right.
All right.
See you. Bye forever.
See you. Bye forever.